What's up, everybody? You might be wondering where the hell I've been. Well, life has been lifing, so it's been keeping me busy. Lots of stuff I'm dealing with, work stuff, family stuff, and personal health stuff. So let's get into it. So back in June, I think it was mid-June, I was doing my normal routine. It was a Tuesday. I got up and hit the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. I did my workout, my strength training, whatever my program was for that day. Got home, got in the shower, and as I got out the shower, I was drying off, getting ready to go to work. And as I was drying off, I noticed this big lump in my groin. And so it immediately hit me that I had a hernia. And I previously had a hernia, I had bilateral inguinal hernia back in, was discovered and operated on in December of 2013. So they did a bilateral repair of the inguinal hernia and they put mesh in place to hold things in place. So I hadn't had any issues with it. And then all of a sudden, as I'm drying off, I see this big lump. I had my wife look at it. And I should also point out the last time I had this, I didn't have this lump. So it occurred to me that was a hernia, but I couldn't confirm that based off of the history that I had. But I know that I previously had one, so I knew that it was probably coming back. So um, I contacted my primary provider and told her about it. Asked her to refer me to someone. She wanted me to come in so she can see me. And as the week went on, things were going fine. I didn't have any pain per se in the area. And so I continued to work out. I went and did my normal Thursday workout, did my normal Saturday workout. Um, I think probably by Friday or Saturday, I was having some pain and my lower back around my iliac crest and some in my groin. And but it wasn't a whole lot. It was stuff, that was bearable. And I went to my Sunday workout, and my very first workout for that day was a sumo squat. So I was doing sumo squat. My first rep was okay. My second rep was hurting a little bit. And then my third rep, I had this deep pain in my groin that shot up through my groin into my stomach and into my back. So I shut it down. And um, then I think that later that week, I think it was probably Tuesday or Wednesday, I got in with my primary. She referred me to a surgeon and ordered some imaging for me. So she wanted me to get a CT scan, a scrotal ultrasound, and and I think that was it. Yeah, that was just the CT scan and the scrotal ultrasound. And as the week went on, I started having the same pains that I was having on my left side, I started having on my right side. Deep groin pain, back pain, low back pain in my iliac crest area. But on my right side, it was a lot more painful than it was on my left side. I didn't have the lump, I just had the pain, and it was a lot worse. So I had to shut things down for a few weeks. Um, and as things settled down, I started slowly working my way back into the gym because I knew that once I had surgery, I wasn't going to be able to work out for probably 6 to 8 weeks. And I got in with the surgeon before the imaging came back, or before I got in for imaging. And the first surgeon I saw and noticed, I said the first surgeon because I ended up seeing three different surgeons for this. First surgeon I saw evaluated me, saw the huge lump in my groin, had me do the cough test, and I'm having and my left testicle is ascending into I don't know if it's going into the hole from the hernia or what, but it was ascending. So he wanted to operate right now, imaging. I hadn't done imaging yet. I was telling him about what's going on my right side. I didn't want to have the surgery on my left side and then have to follow that up with another surgery on my right side if it could be taken care of in one surgery. So he wanted to go right now, and I wasn't having that. And then on top of that, he mentioned the possibility that I would have to lose a testicle, my left testicle, because there was concern that the mesh had somehow grown onto the spermatic cord and was interacting with the iliac, with the inguinal nerve, and could end up losing blood supply. So, I wasn't feeling all of that. So I scheduled an appointment with another surgeon. So I then got in to see this surgeon, and I still hadn't had imaging. Um, and speaking of which, I was having issues getting in to see imaging. It was so far out. So I asked to have my imaging sent to another imaging site, and the insurance denied it because they wanted me to do an ultrasound first. So my primary had to send a request in for a pelvic ultrasound in order for them to clear the CT scan. So anyway, I go in with the second surgeon. The second surgeon evaluates me, has me do the cough test. He Then he orders a CT scan and he writes it up so the insurance ends up approving it without me having to do the ultrasound. And so I have a follow-up appointment with him after the CT scan is scheduled. Uh, Before that, though, I start having abdominal pain. Um, I guess it's a region called the iliac abdominal region. You have them on either side, and I was having this pain on both sides, and I started experiencing constipation. And despite me using Marilax, and despite me taking Mago 7, I even upped my Mago 7 dose. And there was a Tuesday, I was at work and I started feeling nauseated and I wanted to throw up. I went home from work and laid down. Thankfully, I didn't throw up, but um, that subsided, and the pain that I was having in my abdominal region um, subsided as well. It was still there, but it wasn't to a point where, if I brushed up against that region, then I was feeling pain. Um, so that went away. I was still experiencing the constipation, and then I subsequently had another bout with that, and wanted to throw up again. And again, it was another Tuesday. So I was checking online and asked the AI and all that stuff, and said yes, because you're probably experiencing constipation. You're probably getting nauseated because of that, because stuff isn't clearing out like it should be. So I ended up going to the emergency room, and they did the CT scan there before I got in to see my scheduled appointment for CT scan. So they did a CT scan there because there was concern about bowel obstruction and all of that. So did the CT scan. CT scan did not show a bowel obstruction. In fact, it didn't even show hernia, despite me having this big bulge in my groin. And from what I understand, because you're laying down, the CT scan sometimes can't pick it up because the hernia sinks back into the hole. And I also have the added complication of having a mesh implant, which can hide the hernia itself. So anyway, I go back in to see the second surgeon for a follow-up appointment. He sees the CT scan and looks at me again, does the cough test left and right, and he sees this big bulge there, and he says, I'm not sure this is a hernia. You might want to go see a urologist. So I asked him, if it's not a hernia, what could it be? And he says, I don't know. Um, I'm pretty sure it's a hernia myself, but the fact that he's telling me that he's not sure what it is, I get frustrated. Um, but to dot every I and cross every T, I go to see the urologist. The urologist sees me and says, "This is definitely a hernia. I'm not sure why he sent you over here." Um, urologist was saying that, I mean, yeah, the urologist was saying that she actually felt a hernia on my right side as well as my left side. Um, so that was kind of reassuring because it wasn't something that I was imagining. So she referred me to a third surgeon, a surgeon that they work with their team. And if there's any involvement with my testicle that needs to be addressed in the surgery, then they can be on call to participate in the surgery and whatnot. So before I got in to see this third doctor, I had the pelvic ultrasound. And they had me do the pressure, push out, and cough and all that stuff as they did the ultrasound. And that confirmed that I have both a left and a right-sided hernia again. So same situation I had in 2013. It returned as I'm still dealing with this constipation. I'm still dealing with abdominal pain, still dealing um, with the low back pain and all of that. But I'm finding ways to get my workout in without engaging my core and making things worse. Um, just have to. I'm not doing all the lifts and stuff that I was doing, and some of the lifts that I am doing, I'm lowering the weight just to make sure that I'm in the gym because I know I'm going to have to shut it down for 6 to 8 weeks, potentially. So the third surgeon evaluates me. He looks at the ultrasound. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely a hernia on both sides. We'll have to go in there and repair it. And because this is a revision of a previous surgery that I had laparoscopically, generally the case is they have to go in as an open surgery because there could be a lot of scar tissue from the previous surgery, or the mesh is has moved or is not properly placed, and they have to navigate all of that. So in order to do that, they generally go in open through the groin. So they make a decision on both groins and go in and do the repair, put the new mesh in, and all of that. However, robotic surgery has made that less of a reality. They have the option now with robotic surgery to go in and do all the things that they need to do, navigate around that scar tissue, place the new mesh, remove the old mesh if it needs to be removed. And so I'm hoping that that's the case. The surgery is going to start out as a robotic surgery, but they may have to transition to a open surgery if they can't properly get to the areas that they need to get to. So if it is a robotic surgery, then sits me down for a week. He said I can go back to lifting without any restriction within a week. Um, if they do an open surgery, then that will put me in a 6 to 8 week time frame of restriction. So that's going to be scheduled sometime in early September. So we'll see how that goes. So on top of that, though, I have this issue with my foot, and so I went to go see a podiatrist. The podiatrist does X-rays, and I have this bone growth on my fifth metatarsal. Um, forget the exact area that it's called, but it's the fifth metatarsal on my left foot, and I think it's called ossicle or something like that. I forget the name. I'll put the name up and show you the image of it. So the X-ray shows this bone growth, and it's difficult for me to walk. I can't walk barefoot. I don't know if any of you ever had plantar fasciitis, but I had it in both feet back in the '90s, and I had to get a cortisone injection in my heel in order to stop the pain. So he offered me a cortisone injection because the pain is very similar to that, and it's painful. It's like you're stepping on Legos barefoot or a jack barefoot, and it's just like sticking in your foot. But the area around that bone growth is really inflamed. Um, so it hurts to walk um, unless I'm wearing a really cushioned shoe or house shoe around the house. So right now, he has me icing it a few times a day, and I have these pads that have a hole in it in the middle of it that I have to put on the bottom of my foot to and kind of lifts the area up so the inflammation, so that inflamed area is not making contact with anything and cushions the surrounding area. Doesn't seem to really be helping. It reduces the pain somewhat, but not to the point where this is like it's seemingly going to change anything. So I may end up having to have surgery on my foot as well, um, which will potentially put me in a boot for 6 to 8 weeks. He said because they have to go in and he said either remove the bone or move the bone. Um, I forget the reason why they do either one, but it's either going to be a removal or a moving of the bone. Um, so that puts me in a boot for 6 to 8 weeks. So I won't find out about that until I go back on August 28th. So I may end up having two surgeries in the month of September. So on top of all of that, family issue, family health scare, had a family member that um, had a aortic rip, and he had to be life flighted to a hospital. So anyone out there, men, women, if you have um, unmaintained blood pressure, high blood pressure, hypertension, make sure that that is being mitigated because those things can wear down the lining and cause that aortic rip. Um, so he ended up having to get 4 or 5 stents placed in his aorta, um, and one in his left arm, one in his left leg, one in his kidney. Uh, he lost blood flow to his left leg and his kidney. Had to be on oxygen for a long time. He was in the cardiac ICU and a feeding tube and dialysis. So thankfully, this week he was pulled out of the ICU, moved to a normal room. He's been taken off of the oxygen, been taken off of the feeding tube. Seems to be coming around. Still has to do dialysis. He still has a long road to recovery. So if you're, um, so I had to go down and see about him and sit with him for a while, and so went down there for a few days to visit. Um, so if you're a praying person or not, if you're a praying person, please send some prayers to him. And if you're not, send some good vibes. I appreciate that. So that is what has been going on with me. That's why I haven't been making any content and just a lot of stuff going on right now. So I hope to get back to making something. Hope to have these interviews going again. Um, but if you've been wondering what I've been up to, that is what I have been up to. Um, I'll let you guys know how the surgery or surgeries go in the month of September. I don't know exactly when they'll be scheduled. The hernia repairs. They just told me at the beginning of September, so it would have to be after Labor Day weekend for me. Um, so I guess the earliest it'll be will be September 8th. So we'll find out, and then I'll find out about the foot surgery or potential foot surgery on August 28th. But it's just like if it's not one thing, it's another. I get moving, and there's some kind of issue that pops up. Thankfully, well, on this GLP-1 journey, I've been able to navigate all these things for the most part, but this one is going to sit me down for a little bit, potentially up to 2 months, which is frustrating. Um, I think about I mentioned earlier this year that I was probably going to have surgery on my shoulders and potentially my back. Thankfully, I haven't had those, but my shoulders have been acting up. Um, I've been able to do my lifting and all of that, but if I turn my arms a certain way, I feel this real deep pain, like there's a tear and it's a burn. Um, I had the full range of motion on his right side, but the pain is getting worse. And This side, I still can't lift up above 90 degrees if I go out from the side of my body. And the pain on that side is pretty much maintained, still the same, no improvement, and no, um, um, it hasn't gone backwards either, but there hasn't been any improvement. So eventually, those are going to have to be addressed as well. Um, but you just got to take care of yourself and advocate for yourself. Advocate for yourself. Like I said, I've gone to 3 surgeons about this thing because I didn't like what the answer said I was getting, and um, one just wanted to go straight to surgery and not address both sides. One wasn't sure if it was a hernia, and this last one was was just right. We had a great conversation about everything. He put me at ease about everything. Told me what was what what he would look for, and what would happen if XYZ happened, and what would happen if ABC happened. And we had a conversation. I told him about all my symptoms, um, and so I'm hoping that it's going to be a robotic surgery, so I only have to be down for a week. But that may not matter if I have to have this foot surgery. So that's what's up. So keep you updated on those things. Thanks for checking in, and I'll talk to you later.